All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Um, Welcome everybody to today's Shelter in Studio. My name is Chad Johnson. I'm the studio director at San Francisco Center for the Book. And today we are excited to be hosting Inge Bruggeman. And Inge and I go way back we met at a PBI, Paper Book Intensive, at Santa Barbara, California, many, many years ago, like 5 or so. But we're very excited to have her today, and she has some exciting news. But so I will just go ahead and share with you her bio, and then I'll be able to hand it off to Inge shortly here. So Inge Bruggeman is the associate professor at the University of Nevada, Reno, where she is area head of the Book and Publication Arts program. Previously, she taught for many years in Portland at the Oregon College of Art and Craft while simultaneously running a small letterpress and book arts business called Textura. Inge started off at UNR in 2014 teaching and building the new curriculum while also directing the activities of the Black Rock Press, a kind of laboratory for creative artistic publishing that is housed in the art department. Under her guidance, the Black Rock Press was awarded an institutional award by the American Printing History Association. For many years, Inge has made fine press artists' books under her imprint Inca Press. She also makes a variety of artists' books, prints, and other text-based art that investigates our personal and collective relationship to the shifting role of the book in our world today. She also has an avid interest in the history of the French livre d'artiste and the contemporary artist book in France. Inge's work is exhibited and collected internationally and can be found in many collections around the world. Most recently, and this is big news, Inge has accepted the position of Associate Director for the Codex Foundation and will be moving to Berkeley during the summer of 2021. So congratulations and welcome to Shelter in Studio, Inge. I will change the screen over to you and you can take it away.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks everyone for joining me here. This is really fun to be here. And thanks Chad and San Francisco Center for the Book Arts for having me. I'm painfully aware how short this is. I'm not used to giving such a short talk, so I'm going to try to keep an eye on the clock and not talk too fast, but try to cover as much as I can. So again, I'm here at home. You can see in my home studio. And I should say too, I am thrilled to be moving to Berkeley. I'll be there for realsies this summer, but I'm going back and forth right now. And also thrilled to be working with the Codex Foundation. Okay, so I'm just going to start with a little screen share here. So hopefully everybody can see this. In my normal life here at University of Nevada, Reno, this is the space that I usually work in. We have a little exhibition space and library as you enter into the space. You can see some of the equipment from offset presses to the Columbian hand press, which Chad came and visited us and gave a great workshop and talk about printing on the Columbian, the Vandercook presses, excuse me, and some of our other equipment. But, you know, this is basically what it looks like right now, kind of a ghost town. There are maybe 2 or 3 people occasionally working in there, but we can't wait to get back in for the final semester. I guess part of me wanted to start with this as something I have been consumed with teaching for, I don't know, 20 some plus years. And I love teaching. And so this change of pace, change of position is going to be really interesting. Maybe I can keep my toe in teaching a little bit, but I think maybe that's why I wanted to start with this as something that move into the other work in a moment here. This is pretty much my workspace now. I have, I'll show you a little bit more too when we switch back, switch cameras around. But at first, you know, I thought, how in the world, as a lot of you probably felt the same way, are we going to teach some of these materials from home or remotely. But our students were lucky. I have this little tabletop press. Actually, this is the school's. And I switched my letterpress class to kind of more of a graphic novel inspired course. We've been looking at, we start off with some of the proto graphic novelists, Franz Mazariel and Lind Ward, and then kind of move on from there. But we try to keep connected to letterpress, to relief printing, but at the same time, we're not doing a lot of metal type, a little bit of wood type, and that kind of thing, a little bit of text and image, but I'm doing a lot of relief printing with mixed media. And so this is kind of what it looks like in my studio. I could have worked from school and taught the classes from there, excuse me, but I wanted to kind of feel what the students were feeling too, and having to do a small setup at home. They were pretty lucky to get these provisional presses by Steve and Liz Garst, who create these. I put the price in here because I thought it might be a question that might come up. But there are these kits you get, you put the press together. We got 13 of them, and that's kind of the limit of our letterpress classes, at least. And so the students got to check these out. They actually came in and got like a big pile of supplies for the semester, but they've been doing pretty good. And I'm amazed. At first, when I thought, teaching some version of these classes from home, I just thought it was going to be impossible. But it's really been a learning experience for me and for the students. And, I think like a lot of you also might feel that just how this is going to change our worlds going forward, when we get to go back in person and have our courses there, how some of the things that we've done during this year or year and a half, however much longer this is going to last, but how it will influence us going forward. So yeah, the relief class, the letterpress kind of graphic novel class, they started with, self-portraits and tried to build narrative and character around that. And then we went into another project where there were 2 images, and it went to like beginning of the story and end of the story, or action and reaction. It had to have some kind of 2 dual images with missing information in between. So these are some of the student projects that came out of this. This one being the student and her dog. And then I think the other one has her grandmother and her grandmother's dog. And they also had to move beyond like the flat and turn it into a dimensional object. So a lot of the students just simply worked with pillows. This one's in progress. It's not totally stuffed yet. The front and back of another pillow from class and some others. So that kind of gives you an idea, a little bit of some student work and what my life has been like here, at school the past 7 or so years, and working in this space now. I think that, the next one, I'm gonna stop share for a moment. You can see too, actually, if I just move over, there's my, press setup. Everything's kind of close in there. Shifting to using inks that can clean up with soap and water is like, what? I never thought I'd be doing that and figuring out how do we get really good prints with this and these presses. But I'm with the students, learning a lot. So I'm going to shift over to my other camera here, my document camera, and show you a couple projects that I have been working on recently. So that requires me to get up. I hope to, I should have said earlier, they've been quiet. There's some workers outside my window. So if you do hear anything, that's what that is. So one thing that I worked on is this project. I'm going to try to show you in a couple different ways, but it was about 8 or 9 years ago when I was still in Portland, Oregon. Kyle Schlesinger invited me to participate in a book project that would be published by Ugly Duckling Press. And it's called Poetics of the Press. interviews with poets, printers, and publishers. And it's just coming out finally now, which feels pretty weird, you know, when you read an interview from almost a decade ago and you go, can I change that part? So much has changed since then. But he also asked us if we could include like 100 pieces of printed ephemera or print something. And so I printed this small piece for the special edition, which is a poem by Aimé Césaire. And some of you, of course, may know he was an Afro-Caribbean author from Martinique. He was one of the founders of the Negritude movement in Francophone literature. And this is from Return from Native Land. Sorry, Notebook of a Return to the Native Land. When I was an undergraduate, I took a course on French kind of colonial literature, and Aimé Césaire has always kind of stuck with me. So it has the French version here, and it's not really accessible to open up because it's sewn closed. It's all printed from photopolymer plates. And sometimes my camera doesn't do great at focusing up close, but you can kind of see there's all these voices kind of constrained and contained inside that we can hear the visual noise of on the outside. And it's a great text, so I'm just going to read it really quickly. I would rediscover the secret of great communications and great combustions. I would say storm, I would say river, I would say tornado, I would say leaf, I would say tree. I would be drenched by all rains, moistened by all dews. I would roll like frenetic blood on the slow current of the eye of words, turned into mad horses, into fresh children, into clots, into curfew, into vestiges of temples, into precious stones remote enough to discourage miners. Whoever would not understand me would not understand any better the roaring of a tiger. It's really great. The translation is one of Clayton Eshelman and Annette Smith. And then I move that over. Another thing I did early on, you know, especially during the first months of the pandemic, were collages. I think many people turned to collage. But I have like 100 of these. I'm kind of plagued by them, and now I have to move. So if anybody loves National Geographics, I have these going back to like the early 1900s. I finally started doing something with them, which was kind of difficult, but started cutting them up and reusing them. But they were my parents, the National Geographics, and then my grandparents. I love seeing like the images, just how they were printed, particularly in this one you can see. And I love, you know, looking at all of the typefaces that were used in these pieces. So I did, I just have a couple of these out, and I'm still kind of doing them occasionally, but not quite as often. This one is titled, She Changes Her Coat with the Seasons. It's she you dreamed of before turning back. I won't read the whole thing, but you get the idea. Kind of collage work. A couple others. Oops. And I think there's one more. Oh yeah, the pause. So there's this one. This scene might be titled The Pause. Thousands cheer, a fleeting moment. Picture perfect, his defense automatic. So those are the kind of collage things I was doing to figure out, like, how am I transitioning and living through the pandemic, which I kind of got through. And then the final project I just wanted to show you, which is what I've been working on too, is the pandemic has been nice for kind of trying to get caught up on production work. So this is from, I guess, I've been working on it for a while, but it's 2 or 3 years going. But I'm working on trying to finish the edition of this piece called Deposits, which has a case that folds out like this. I don't know. It was exhibited at Donna Seeger at the last Codex fair during that time. And so some of you may be familiar with it, but it has really rough sandpaper on the outside. So I actually get this stuff. It's for, it's like belt sanding material, and it's terrible on your hands. I will say that. I have to like cut it all down, and I use a lot of lotion when I'm doing that. But the piece is meant to hang on the wall, and it's part of a larger series called the Active Reading Series. I'll show you in a minute how it's installed, but I'm just working on, let me get it a little closer. I'm working on binding these and producing them. I printed this at the Minnesota Center for Book Arts, and it's all handset type. I kind of curved it and manipulated it in the bed of the press, and then did some collagraph and other like linoleum relief printing. These are kind of like just little memories that are kind of frozen in time, kind of like they've been solidified in the strata of the earth. It's kind of the other side, but it's pretty heavy and hangs on the wall, or you can read it in your hands as well. But these are kind of some of the pieces individually. It's got kind of gray mat board, and that's where the sandpaper will go onto the back. So there's some of the models on the side. So let me just come back over to my other camera so you could see me again. And to finish, I'm going to share my screen and go back here. You can kind of see now here, this was an installation or an exhibition of a bunch of my work at the Oates Park Art Center, which is out in Fallon, Nevada. It's actually an amazing place to exhibit in the middle of nowhere. But it's an old school that they renovated, and they have really wonderful exhibitions. The owner is very well versed and lives in the middle of nowhere of their own accord, and runs exhibitions. There's a whole theater in this place. It's quite amazing. They bus people from Los Angeles and San Francisco to for events there. But this just shows the installed version of Deposits. Here it is hanging on the wall. There's a sound element, and people are meant to actually read it. You can walk up this little ladder and down it to kind of actively read the book. And I'll just kind of, yeah, there we go. There's a better view. You have the book itself is kind of supposed to represent a geological artifact in itself. So it's there sitting on its table like a little artifact, and here it is unfurled. There are other pieces like these one-of-a-kind artist books, but you can see that the same idea of like deposits of language, of memory kind of embedded in the stratification of land. That's a little fuzzy. These one-of-a-kind books. This one's called Words and Rocks. And then over to these Principles of Lava and Language, these kind of piano roll pieces. I did these at Penland School of Craft during, it was supposed to be a 2-week residency, but it was really more like a week. It was so fast. but did those larger wall pieces. And this exhibition had 2 galleries. I won't go into the small gallery, but you can kind of see the other wall pieces over here, which are called tensive language, also kind of geologically inspired with type embedded in them. And this was printed. All the pages are printed. I could have just printed the one on the top, but I've been trying to find ways to use the Heidelberg windmill for more kind of sculptural works and multiples, but no one would ever know. And I'll end with the final words. I think that's the last one that I have. And stop share. So those are some things that I've been working on, shifting away from teaching for many, many years, moving into my own work, and working on a new project, trying to print on some neoprene rubber.
Well, if folks have any questions, thank you very much, Inge. If folks have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. There's one here right now, but if folks want to throw some in, that'd be great. Andy is curious, what are you most looking forward to about your Berkeley life, and what do you think you'll first work on in your own studio once there?
Thank you, Andy, for that question. Well, I'm right now working on a series of not a series, I'm working on an edition of broadsides with Heather Green, who teaches at University of Arizona. And she's invited some artists from Mexico and from the United States, about half and half, to contribute broadsides for an exhibit of work that will go along with an exhibition of hers in Guadalajara. And the loose theme is on tides. I don't know if you know her work, Heather Green. Her work's amazing. And it often deals with the tidal zone and environmental issues surrounding some places around Mexico and the Gulf. And so that's why I got the idea. I would like to print on this black rubber. Things have felt pretty black lately. And so I was kind of going there, and that material, it's a little off-gassy actually, and smelly and terrible. But I'm exploring printing on that, and then hoping that that will lead into a book project with this material as well. So I hope that will be the first thing that I'm going to work with of my own. And as for Berkeley, Reno has been kind of amazingly wonderful. It's a growing place, city, and the culture is growing here. If you haven't been to the Nevada Museum of Art, I would highly recommend it. They have a great, I think Andy's been there, they have the Center for Art and Environment, and this conference every 3 years that focuses on art and environment. So they've got great stuff going on, but I have to say, I'm really looking forward to all the cultural stuff that both my spouse and I are looking forward to taking advantage of, and the community, having a big book arts community. I'm so excited about that. And the work involved too with Codex. I really am excited to continue kind of my own ambitions in scholarship and supporting promoting the book arts and artist books and growing that. And this is kind of a different way to do that. So I'm excited for it.
Excellent. Malpina asks, what is your go-to water cleanup inks? And while you're answering, if you can, maybe you can show that first slide of the machine behind you again. I don't know.
Oh, right. I have the slide of it. Yeah.
Because that one's slightly different from the one that people can buy, or the one that you listed the price for.
Sorry, I'm gonna go back this way.
Fine. Click, 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 click.
Oh yeah, that, these are like, there's all these different varieties of sign presses and tabletop presses. This one is a super nice one, and you know what? I don't know the brand of it. I'm kind of mad at that. But this is one that we had at the Black Rock Press and at school. And we have a couple of these little ones, and they're different manufacturers, but it's what the provisional press is kind of based on.
Right.
The inks, I haven't had that much time to explore. Before all this happened years ago, I did take a workshop on like Akua inks, more for intaglio though. And I thought those worked pretty well. But for my classes, let's see if I can, I used the Caligo Cranfield inks, and I think they come from the UK. So a lot of people complain that like it's in low quantities and hard to get. Sometimes it's out of stock, but we kind of planned ahead enough that we got a bunch of them.
Elizabeth Newsom asks, is that a copy of Leprose's De Trans-Siberian behind you? I suspect it is, because I've seen it many times.
Yep, that is the edition that Yale published, right? I think it was still in a limited edition. I was kind of lucky to get one early on. But yes, that is. I came into the field of artist books as a French major, and also that's why the Aimé Césaire. I took a class on the French 20th century livre d'artiste, and that's, I was hooked. I got a job in special collections. I took the class twice. I was introduced to Harry and Sandra Rees of Turkey Press at UC Santa Barbara, where I was, and the rest is history. But yes, the French livre d'artiste is something I really love. I try to kind of keep involved too. I participated in a conference remotely for the Saint Etienne University. The conference was more for libraries and librarians and collections. How do we activate artist books instead of having them sit in vaults? How do we get them out and people using them and looking at them with, at the same time, them being kind of more delicate? So right before the pandemic, I was about to step on a plane over spring break to go to that conference, but it got canceled, and we did finally do it, although a lot of it was in the middle of the night, so I couldn't participate in all of it. But
last question, because we're almost out of time, but what are the platen dimensions of those little presses? John wants to know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, hold on. I'm grabbing my ruler. It's pretty similar to this one. So I would say it's about like 11 by 15. But if you look up Provisional Press, you'll find their site pretty quickly. And I'm sure they have the dimensions on there. Mine isn't exactly the same as theirs.
All right, well, thank you so much. So it looks like we've reached 1 o'clock, so that will have to be it for today, alas. But we would very much like to thank Inge for the tour, as well as for everyone for spending the time with us today. So please feel free to join us again next Thursday, and we'll be visiting Solange Roberdeau at her studio in Elk, California. So again, thank you so much to Inge, and let me be among the first, because I'm sure I'm not the first, but among the first to welcome you back to the Bay Area when you arrive in Berkeley. I will look forward to helping you move some presses into the studio.
I'll take you up on that.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming too. Thank you.
Yeah. So stay safe and stay well, everyone. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.